Hello guys, so in this video we'll see how we can create a thread. Okay, so let me just create a file, then we'll start. And let me just write the main function. Okay, so basically there are two main ways to create a thread. One is you just extend the thread class. So let's say we want to create example thread. This extends one class known as thread. Okay, now what we have to do is just we have to override one function. The signature here should match. This is the important thing here. This signature should be exact same. In the thread, let's say I want to print from 1 to 10, and I just sysout it. Okay, what I've done is this. And over here I just printed that this thread started, plus I've also print the name to get some details from the thread, that which thread is running. Okay, now we are done. Now how to call it? We just have to create the instance of this class, and we call. Now the important thing here is key one is we can call simple run method. Okay, this is a mistake, but let's try run it. What happens? Okay, now I run this. What happens is, you've seen it prints the output and all, but it shows the thread name as main. The code, this code is running in the main thread, but this function should not be running in the main thread because we have started a new thread here. So the point here is we have to call the start method. When we call the run method, it executes as a normal method, but when we call this as a start method, then it executes this run method in the separate thread, right? So now we have, if we run it again, now you see the thread name is thread 0. Okay, so this is one of the way of creating a thread. Okay, another way could be I have created another class, let's say example thread 2. We implements one interface runnable. Okay, now we can see this. So there is one abstract method run, right, which is the same as we here, right? So we just have to override it. So I just copied it from here, and this time let's say we are printing from 11 to 20 because we will be running those two threads parallelly. Okay, we just remove it. Now to call this here, this is a class, right? So we have just created the instance and call the start method over that instance, but here we just have to create a thread method instance. Let's call it runnable thread, and this is a thread of type runnable. So I just have to create the example thread 2, right? So what we have done it here is we have created a new thread of type runnable, right, and just start the runnable thread, and over here also we have to call the start method instead of run, right? Now when we run it, we see that both the threads started and both the threads are running, right, and they both are running in parallel. Okay, now this is about threads. Now there we see there are two ways of creating the thread, right? One is implementing the runnable, one is extending the thread. So which one we should use? Ideally, in my opinion, this is the one good method instead of extending thread. One is because we know Java does not support multiple inheritance. What I mean by multiple inheritance is you can extend only one class, and suppose if you have already extended the thread class, you cannot extend any other class, right? So this way runnable is useful for us. One more difference is, so here we have created the example thread, right? So this is the new instance. If I create this one more one, and let's say 2, so these are all the separate instance, right? So suppose if there is a variable here, let's say counter 1, and if I increment this counter inside this run function, so these all will see counter as 1, but if I create new variables, new objects of this, so let's say what I have done is I have done this, okay, and I have created multiple runnable threads now, but each on the same example2 objects. So now these will share the same objects. So if let's say one thread increment the counter by 1, another thread will get this value as 2. So this is the one actual difference in the functionality wise. Okay, so okay, this is about threads. Now there are some more functions that are important. So let's put some sys out here and run this code one more time. Okay, so now you see ki main function, this sysout is coming before, and because the main function and those two threads are running in parallel. Now let's say there is a condition that we want these two threads to complete, and then only this code triggers. And what we have to do, there is a function called join. So what we will simply do, example thread dot join and runnable thread dot join, and we have to wrap this is, or I'll just throw the interrupted exception. Okay, now when we run it, you see the main function is getting, this call is getting triggered once these two threads are completed. Okay, one more important function is, so we can, okay, the ideal way should be do here. So we can set the thread priority. Okay, so just go inside this code. So the priority that we set should be between this max priority and min priority. These are already defined by thread class. So the max priority is 10, min is 1 and norm is 5. So by default the thread is created with this priority, but we can set the priority somewhere between 1 and 10. And this is the point to notice, this is only indicator. It's not necessary that, let's say if I have set this priority as 10 and for this I have priority of 1, then the CPU will for sure take this first and then this. It's an indicator to CPU scheduler that you can take this first and this one later, right? So this is the priority function, and you have to set this between 1 to 10, else you'll get exception. Let's say set it 120, so it will throw the illegal argument exception, as we have already seen in the code, right? So